Well, indeed, good afternoon. Welcome. This is KTN Business Today. My name is Peter Akaba, and this is your 1 hour of news, views, and analysis from the world of business from us here at our Mombasa Road studio. It is welcome to the show on this day, the 5th day of June, the year 2018. It is World Environment Day, and we have a lot of stories that are geared towards informing your perspective on the environment, climate change, and indeed how that affects you and your business. Now, on this show today, we will also be focusing on matters, well, floriculture, agriculture, tourism. And to speak into this conversation, a real expert in studio, an entrepreneur, a man at the global cutting edge of these two businesses. One, of course, is floriculture. The other, of course, is tourism. And this is well, Bobby Kamani. He is managing director at Zurich Group Global. This, of course, is a company that cuts across several continents, and they are at the cutting edge of the, well, Kenyan economy. He is here to speak into the conversation around getting into the Americas market, what that perspective is, what the perspective has been in those businesses, and what we can expect going forward of the various events that are happening in the coming days, including, of course, the expected exhibition around the floriculture sector in just a few days, and the upcoming flights into the US market expected in October. So, action-packed show for you right here. As usual, we start off at the market to give you, well, an update of just what the conversation has been in terms of the forex and securities. And we'll start off with the Kenya shilling versus dollar, sterling, pound, and of course the euro pairs. And well, giving you a look at what that looks like right now. The dollar pegged at 100.81, buying 101.01. Buying and selling levels respectively, while the pound is pegged at 134.71 buying and 135.01 selling, while the euro is pegged at 118.06, 118.31 buying and selling levels respectively. Now to the NSE, this is turnover for the previous session, 2.5 billion, not million, worth of shares bought and sold there. Now shares trade at 664 million, various shares bought and sold. The NSE 20 share index pegged at 3,273.22 points. Bonds traded, bond turnover 2.4 billion shillings worth. Well, what are the shares that were driving these trends? This, of course, is a look at the most active stocks of that trading session: Equity Bank, KCB, Safaricom, and Centum. Well, we start off at Equity Bank, 4.52 million shares bought and sold. KCB at 3.34 million shares. Safaricom, 2.08 million shares. And Centum are moving 1.51 million shares there. Well, let's look at the winning stocks of the day. These are, of course, the bulls of that trading session: Uchumi, Kenocobil, Kenya Power, and the Flame Tree Group. Uchumi trending upwards 9.38% to 1 shilling and 75 cents, while Kenocobil is pegged at 18 shillings and 50 cents, up 7.56%. Kenya Power up 6.92% to 6 shillings and 9 cents, of Flame Tree Africa up 6.67% to 4 shillings flat. Well, let's look at the bears of that trading session. These are the losing stocks: Mumias Home Africa, the Housing Finance Group, and Sasini. Mumias trending down 6.67% to 70 cents. Home Africa down 5.56% to 85 cents. HF Group down 4.38% to 7 shillings 65 cents, while Sasini has shed 4.17% to 23 shillings flat. Well, we want to start you off on the news of the day with news around corruption, and the latest challenge around that, of course, has been at the Kenya Pipeline Corporation, where Managing Director Joe Sang has denied allegations of the loss of some 95 billion shillings, while clarifying that the corporation had cancelled the controversial tender due to flawed procurement processes. Sang was addressing the press this morning from his office at Kenpipe Plaza.
The Kenya Pipeline Board of Directors were at all times fully appraised of all the projects and indeed gave all the necessary approvals and directions and guidance to management. We remain a going concern company and has continued to exhibit stellar financial performance as indicated in the last financial results, which have been audited by the Kenya National Audit Office. The performance we did last year is a profit before tax of 11.5 billion shillings. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not a company that's been mismanaged. We are the single largest commercial enterprise, public parastatal, that generates that amount of money. And we intend to grow it. And shortly, we'll actually be releasing the results for this financial year, which is about to end. And I can guarantee you that the performance for this year will even be better than last year. That is not a company that has swindled 95 billion shillings.
Well, off the back of that story, we now go to the coast where a coast-based movement has condemned the national government's decision to sack the former managing director of the Kenya Ports Authority, Catherine Muturi, who was sent on leave for allegedly being incompetent, terming the move political. The Tairani Mijikenda movement officials claim that the procedures used to give the former MD compulsory leave were unlawful, as the current board's sitting term has expired. The group called on President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy to intervene and dismiss all board members and appoint a new board before reinstating the former MD to service.
Na kiongozi yoyote ambaye amejitokeza kulizungumzia. Ndio sababu mimi kama CEO wa Taireni nikaamua niite wenzangu ili tuje hapa tupeane sauti yetu ili isikike. Na jambo hili linaumiza kichwa, manake kuna wakati hata rais alipokuwa hapa Mombasa kule port alisema anajua yale yanayoendelea juu ya Catherine. Na hata kufikia sasa pamoja na naibu yake hajasema jambo lolote.
Katika historia ya Kenya na pengine Afrika, yeye alikuwa mama wa kwanza kuchaguliwa kwa msimamizi wa bandari hapa kwetu Kenya. Na naamini ya kwamba Catherine Muturi hakuchaguliwa kama msimamizi wa bandari kwa mapendeleo. Tumesikia ya kwamba Catherine Muturi amehudumu katika bandari ya Mombasa kwa muda wa miaka 25. Kimasomo, Catherine Muturi kulingana na press release ya waziri wa uchukuzi baada ya kumkagua na kumpitisha Catherine Muturi inaonyesha wazi vile Catherine Muturi anao uwezo wa kuongoza bandari yetu ya Mombasa.
Mtoto wetu Catherine ameondolewa kama MD. Tunataka tujue ukweli wa mambo, na hatutaki kujua ukweli wa mambo kupitia kwa watu wa port. Tunataka rais mwenyewe angilie, aende ndani, ajue sababu gani MD wa port ya Coast amekuwa suspended kwa nini.
Well, indeed, weighty matters. Now, the Kenyan banking sector has in the recent 18 or so months been battling headwinds as a result of the fallout from the enactment of the rate capping law. But do we really need the rate cap? And are banks really the villains in the battle to improve lending to individuals and SMEs? The following story seeks to answer just those questions.
Banks generally continue to be viewed in unfavorable light in the eyes of the borrowing public, even after the creation of rate cap. And even when considering the demerits of rate cap on banks, it is hard to find Kenyans who will support a revision to the current regulation with a view to going back to the previous situation where banks set their own rates. Why is this the case? According to Credit Bureau TransUnion Africa, there may be a link between the negative perceptions that the public has about banks and the way these bastions of credit treat their customers on a daily basis.
The result you're looking for is not to win my heart on having the sexiest product, right? I want to be the guy that feels that my bank my lender actually cares about me. That sounds crazy. Why should a bank care about anybody? But think about it. Why do I have loyalty to a specific bank or to a specific telco? One, I may have a false sense of loyalty for a long time. But if my bank starts to make me feel that they understand me, if they feel they actually know me in my point of need, suddenly it's more than just a cordial business relationship.
Conversely, it appears that consumers are more prone to bringing more business to banks they feel they have a closer relationship with. Further, it is emerging that the globe is experiencing a shift in customer focus to a customer-first model of operation, and banks are being urged to move with the tide. This goes beyond just physical infrastructure, such as ATMs and other technologically convenience and product reanimations. While many institutions agree that there are negative ramifications to rate cap, it is still a good idea to think about the customer and their needs first. The banks that have been able to pull this off are now head and shoulders above the rest in revenue and profitability.
How do you capture what Steve Jobs did with Apple in your bank? Would someone ever tell you as a bank, oh my God, you guys understand me, or this product talks to my needs emotively? You seem to understand me.
While speaking at an executive banking forum hosted by TransUnion Africa, it emerged that data analytics, and especially what is called alternative analytics, would act as a sure remedy to curing the negative perception of banks when it comes to customer focus.
Targeting of customers, right? We are spraying and praying right now. But in a time where money is precious, we've had these interest rate caps that have seen a decrease in the lending activity. Can we afford to spray and pray and hope we find the right people?
Risks to private sector, credit growth, disruption by fintechs, consumer loyalty are just some of the woes affecting the local banking sector. Now enters consumer focus, which may be a priority to many other banking institutions, but still a remedy that, for many, may bear the one sure way to turn around the tough economic times.
Well, of course, you do remember that today is World Environment Day, and we have a bit of a focus on that, just to bring out several different perspectives. Now, the United Nations Environment Organization and the National Environment Management Authority will partner with the private sector in Kenya to establish end-to-end plastic waste management programs in line with this year's World Environment Day theme of Beat a Plastic Solution. Now, the partnership will see a creation of a working group spearheaded by integrated mobile service company Safaricom that brings together stakeholders, mainly manufacturers, waste collectors, and plastic waste recyclers to formulate an end-to-end solution to hard plastic wastes. The partnership with Safaricom is part of an MOU that covers climate change, waste management, and green growth initiatives.
Beat pollution was part of the president's agenda when he opened the 2017 World Environment Day. And he says, I'm quoting, Kenya will continue to play the leadership in beating the plastic bag, and this leadership, we will take it across Africa and across the world.
Political goodwill led by His Excellency the President to the entire hierarchy of leadership, it would have been impossible because it was not ECS. It has not been possible for the last 15 years when you have attempted to ban. I can easily say we are at around 95 to 97% fine or complied to the plastic ban.
We realize that as a company, we do have an obligation to society. And other than the obligation, we do realize that within our ecosystem, we also are struggling with certain factions of plastic that we need to get rid of. So we organize this session so that we can learn from others, listen, share, and also be able to handle our waste, our plastic waste that we have not yet been able to get rid of.
Well, World Environment Day, which is celebrated every 5th day of June, is the United Nations principal vehicle for encouraging awareness and action for the protection of the environment. Now, first held in 1974, it has been a flagship campaign for raising awareness on environmental issues. Kisumu's Michael Otieno has transformed water hyacinth into fortune. Now, the 35-year-old founder of Takawiri Enterprises produces attractive paper products from waste paper and water hyacinth. From notebooks, business cards, greeting cards, and gift bags. Kevin Ogutu has more on that story.
Lake Victoria, Africa's largest freshwater lake and a source of livelihood to thousands that live around it. From transport services, fishing and agriculture, this shared resource is no doubt a strong economic pillar. Standing on the way of this great potential is the stubborn water hyacinth.
Hii hyacinth tangu ikuje, imetufukuza kwa beach yetu, tunahangaika huku nje.
But to Michael Otieno, this weed is just but a blessing in disguise, one that needs sustainable approach to remove it from the face of Lake Victoria. After dropping out of high school at Form 2, Michael received basic training in paper recycling at a training center in Kisumu and only worked long enough to get starting capital.
Through the savings I got for working for Mr. Mchilwa, I started buying the equipment. So I just bought a small trough and a mortar and pestle because I was just crushing it manually.
But it is not water hyacinth alone that he uses to make the paper. Waste paper is part of the ingredient. In this open yard, we find Mama Millicent Ogumbo, who has been in this business for 28 years.
Pata kwa ofisi, nazipata kwa factories, nazipata kwa ninjas. Sana sana ninjas ndio bosses zangu, wengine wamekaa pale chini, niko na watu wa kunisaidia kazi.
Back to Michael's workshop, he takes me through how the entire process is done.
First of all, you must go and get the raw material from the source. In this case, I'm getting it from Lake Victoria, the Kisumu side. Then you cut it into smaller pieces. Then you decompose it. You tie it a week or two, because to make it lose the green pigment. Yeah. Then after that, you mix it with the waste paper in this machine. It's called pulping machine. Then you add water at least to get the pulp. So it's like a blender. It just blends the hyacinth plus the waste paper. Then you get the pulp. So after getting the pulp, then you suspend it in a trough, half filled with water. Yeah, then using a wooden frame with a net attached to it, you just lift it, or rather you sieve it. So the wet paper forms on the screen, yeah. Then after that, you just put it to dry under the sun.
The dry paper is then passed through the calendaring machine, which makes it smoother and printable. The result is a beautiful display of the products. He gets orders from individuals and corporates seeking these products, but he thinks more investments are needed here.
For this project to have an impact, especially on managing the hyacinth in the lake and also waste paper, you need like 20 million Kenya shillings to set up a fully fledged small industry to at least handle that and also to create jobs. Yeah.
This particular weed has got its own fair share of benefits. For example, it is being used in making fertilizers and also in biogas production. So such initiatives like that of Michael of converting this particular weed into a paper is welcome, particularly in this age when there is a ban on plastic usage in Kenya. Kevin Ogutu for KTN News in Kisumu.
Impressive story there from Kisumu. Now, one of the places that is Well, world renowned for being environmentally friendly is Rwanda, and hundreds of Rwandans have marched in the capital city, Kigali, to encourage the public to join the effort to address plastic pollution. The march, organized by the Ministry of Environment through the Rwanda Environment Management Authority, or REMA, is part of the activities of the 2018 National Environment Week and the World Environment Day that is celebrated today. Our Kigali-based correspondent Eugenia Nangwe now reports on the Beat Plastic Pollution Walk that is aimed at ending the use of single-use plastics. Take a look.
Rwanda is considered as one of the countries that have successfully implemented a ban on plastic use, sale and manufacturing, rendering the country as one of the cleanest in Africa. Despite this success, the country's officials say that they are not just about to stop at that. Speaking in Kigali at the launch of the National Environment Week, where guests were served with water in glasses as opposed to the plastic bottles, Rwanda's Minister of Environment, Dr. Vincent Biruta, confirmed that the process of revising the plastics law to reduce or completely ban single-use plastics such as straws, disposable cutleries, among others, was in the offing.
It is possible that it will be a new law on plastics. It is possible that it will be an amended law. But in any case, we are going to start from the existing law and try to improve on it and target those products we need really to ban or to restrict.
During the Environment Week, a series of activities including a walk against plastic pollution took place with an aim of sensitizing the public on the importance of not using plastic materials that they would ordinarily be able to do without. United Nations Residence Coordinator in Rwanda, Fode Ndiaye, says that humanity has a lot to benefit if the war against plastic pollution is won.
We need to win the fights against two P's, plastic pollution. That's what we need to do. Because this fight against pollution will help us reduce poverty, eliminate poverty, increase decent jobs, bring more gender equality, and bring more youth on the aspect of economic and social sides, and also promote innovation, because we are faced with challenges that we need to deal with. That's the importance of this fight that we are engaged in.
Right, let me now pass the ball to... And as the world marks the Environment Day on the 5th of June, environment enthusiasts here in Rwanda want one message actualized in the fight against plastic pollution, and that is, if you can't reuse it, refuse it. Eugene Anangwe, KTN News, Kigali, Rwanda.
Well, powerful tales there from, of course, the environmental sector, and really raising the question, what exactly are you doing to play your part in environmental management in order to manage climate change and, of course, enable the world become a much better place to live in. Well, on that note, we want to proceed on a short commercial break. On the other side, our conversation around, well, the aspects of, first, of course, tourism and floriculture. Still on the way, so you don't want to go anywhere. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay with KTN News.